For decades, public nutrition guidance has revolved around a simple equation: calories in versus calories out. This framework, while grounded in physics, has led to an overemphasis on calorie counting and portion control, often at the expense of food quality. But as obesity rates continue to rise, even among those who are conscious of their calorie intake, it's becoming clear that not all calories are created equal. The structure, content, and degree of processing in our food affect metabolism, hormones, satiety, inflammation, and fat storage in ways that can't be explained by calorie numbers alone. To meaningfully confront the obesity epidemic, policymakers and health authorities must go beyond calorie labeling and begin to regulate the composition of the food supply itself. Modern food products are not just high in calories, they are engineered in ways that disrupt the body's natural ability to manage those calories. Ultra-processed foods, UPFs, which now account for over half of total caloric intake in many high-income countries, are structurally different from whole foods. They often lack intact fiber matrices, are digested more rapidly, and deliver concentrated combinations of sugar, refined starches, salt, and industrial fats that trigger exaggerated dopamine responses in the brain. This leads not only to overconsumption, but also to altered metabolic signaling and reduced satiety, meaning people eat more and feel satisfied less. In essence, many processed foods have become predigested. They bypass key satiety mechanisms by requiring less chewing, fewer digestive enzymes, and shorter gastrointestinal transit times. The result is a quicker spike in blood glucose and insulin, followed by crashes that stimulate hunger and fat storage. These effects are not purely quantitative, they are qualitative and physiological, reflecting the biochemical consequences of how food is constructed. Two meals with the same calorie count can lead to profoundly different outcomes depending on their macronutrient composition, fiber content, glycemic load, and presence of additives. Yet most food regulations focus narrowly on calorie disclosure. Nutrition labels list grams and percentages, but they rarely capture how food behaves in the body. A 300-calorie snack of almonds and a 300-calorie packaged cookie may appear equal on paper, but one promotes satiety, stable blood sugar, and metabolic health, while the other promotes cravings, insulin resistance, and fat accumulation. Relying on calorie counts alone to inform public health guidance leaves consumers with an incomplete and misleading picture. This is where food policy must evolve. Governments can no longer treat food as a uniform energy source. Regulation must account for nutrient density, processing levels, glycemic effects, and even the hormonal and neurological responses that different foods provoke. Mandatory reformulation policies, such as those that have reduced trans fats, limited sodium content, or capped sugar levels in beverages, are a starting point. But deeper reform should target how foods are constructed from the ground up, including the use of emulsifiers, artificial sweeteners, and additives that may disrupt the gut microbiome, promote inflammation, or encourage overeating. Front-of-pack labeling could also evolve to reflect processing intensity, not just nutrient content. A traffic light system that flags ultra-processed foods, much like Chili's black box warning labels, would help consumers understand the health implications of structural food quality. Labels could also highlight fiber-to-carbohydrate ratios or the presence of synthetic flavor enhancers that hijack taste perception. Educating people on food structure, such as whether fiber is naturally embedded or artificially added, would empower them to make more informed choices beyond calorie math. At a broader level, regulatory efforts should promote the creation and accessibility of whole, minimally processed foods. This includes subsidies for fruits, vegetables, legumes, and nuts, incentives for manufacturers to develop less processed alternatives, and procurement policies that prioritize real food in schools, hospitals, and public institutions. Reforming the food system means not just restricting harmful products, but actively supporting the production, marketing, and affordability of nutrient-rich options. Critically, regulation must also address the economic and marketing forces that shape consumer behavior. The most highly processed, calorie-dense products are often the cheapest and most aggressively advertised. Without intervention, low-income communities will continue to bear the brunt of metabolic disease driven by food composition, not just excess. Regulating the food supply is not about eliminating personal responsibility. It's about rebalancing a system that has long favored corporate profit over public health. Obesity is not simply a matter of excess energy. It's a consequence of the kinds of energy we consume and the metabolic environments they create. A diet composed primarily of processed, Rapidly absorbable calories is fundamentally different from one built on whole, fiber-rich, nutrient-dense foods, even if total calories are held constant. Public policy that fails to acknowledge this is doomed to fall short. Ultimately, combating obesity and diet-related disease requires a paradigm shift, from regulating how much we eat to what we are eating and how it's made. The future of public health will depend not on calorie counting alone, but on reshaping the food landscape to prioritize quality, integrity, and the biological reality of how food interacts with the human body.